Hello everyone and welcome to another random bits and pieces segment from my brain, and today, sit a while for we are playing some more Franchise Hockey Manager 6 as part of the Ottawa Senators. So we are in first place with 5 games left for us to play in the regular season, and then we are going to tackle the playoffs. Our closest pursuer is Philadelphia. They have 6 remaining games to play, but they are 17 points behind, which means that we are assured to finish first in the East. Looks like our first round opponent is gonna be either Atlanta or Boston. From the look of the standings, those are the two most likely to clinch 8 in the East, so that would be probably one of those two. Could be maybe Tampa Bay, they could maybe sneak in. But yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Of course, you know, it's near the end of the season, so there's no trades or anything like that to look at, or trade possibilities. So we're just going to go into the thick of it. Also, I did realize at the end of the last video, I did not advance until April 1st. I stayed on March 31st, which is really not a big deal. Alright, so Cam Janssen is available on waivers. I'm not going to pick him up. Vincent Cavalier has racked up 500 assists in his career with a goal and an assist against Pittsburgh. Vincent Cavalier, 29 years old, 3.5-star player. And speaking of Tampa Bay, Nick Tarnowski is back from suspension, back in the lineup over there. Alright. Well, those are dire times. Scott Niedermayer got worse at fighting, so he's truly on the decline there. Alright, so the players of the month were Ryan Getzlaf from Anaheim, and Jeremy Duchesne, goaltender for Philadelphia, is the goaltender of the month of March 2010. Alright, so it is officially April 1st. That is where I should have been when I started the video. We are going to be hosting the Hurricanes before we hit the road for 3 games and then come back home for the last game of the season. So the Hurricanes are not going to be in the playoffs, actually. They are now the worst team in the East. So they are 23-48-6. And we are 2-1 against the Hurricanes this season. So Steve Valiquette is going to be in net for Carolina. We are going to be going to Brian Elliott. Oh, and we won 4-0. So good start to the month of April. There's not a lot of well, there's going to be the playoffs games too, I suppose. We outshot Carolina 44-14 in this game. Drew Doughty was the first star. He had a goal and an assist. Marian Osa was the second star with a goal. Patrice Bergeron was the third star with a goal as well. We had 18,192 people in attendance for this game. Chris Kelly opened up the scoring in the first from Joe Thornton, and it was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then nobody scored in the second, and all the way into the third period, Marian Osa scored his 20th from Ryan Whitney. Then Drew Doughty scored on the power play from Mike Fisher. And finally, Patrice Bergeron scored from Drew Doughty and Brooks Like. And 4-0 was the final score today. The Hurricanes were never quite in this game. Right, so David Petrasek is back in the lineup in Vancouver after serving his suspension. Eugene Melnick is still very happy with me as I went 10-4. Oh, looks like Martin Ansel got hurt. Oh, 1 to 2 weeks, huh? You go on the injured reserve. We're gonna recall somebody. Alright, who are we going to recall to replace the injured Martin Ansel? Sorry if I'm being silent again. As usual, I'm just trying to focus on... I think I'm gonna go ahead and give Colin Greening a nod. He's not a awesome player or anything. He did have an interesting season, but that was by playing next to pretty good players. I mean, in real life. Once he was pulled away from those good players, he didn't quite produce anymore. Yeah, actually, he has a pretty interesting statistic to him. There's a season, I forget which season it was, but there's a season that Colin Greening in real life scored only 1 goal in the season, and it was actually a goal that was scored without a shot on goal. He was awarded the default goal because there was an empty net and he was obstructed with or something like that, and the referee gave him the goal. That was his only goal of the season. That's a pretty interesting statistic. There's a few oddities like that in Sens history. There's also Chris Campoli, as a Ottawa Senator, scored twice in the same overtime period. So he scored and nobody saw the puck go in except for him, and then he got the puck back and he scored again. So of course, on the stat sheet only 1 goal counts, but it's still, technically he still scored twice in the same overtime period. You don't see that very often. But anyway, alright, so Francis Wattier and Andrew Ferrance are available. As usual, I'm not picking those guys up. Good night for Paul Seshura, who had a hat-trick against the Rangers, so pretty good game. Alright, and we are about to play the Islanders on the road, so the Islanders also not going to be in the playoffs. They are 27, 46, and 4. That's good for 12th in the East. We are 3-0 against the Isles this season, so we've been doing pretty good against them. So Brian Elliott's still going to be in net for us. Roberto Luongo wasting away some of his best years in Long Island. Or at least this season, they're not very good. I shouldn't have poked fun at them. The Islanders beat me 5-3. That's what I get for running my mouth. So we outshot the Islanders 53-19. Niskala was the first. Yanni Niskala was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and an assist. Patrick Eves was the second star with an assist, and John Tavares was the 3rd star with 2 assists. So John Tavares is now showing his face. So the Islanders took a 3-0 lead into the first period, so it was 3-0 Isles after 1. Then they took a 4-0 lead into the second period. Then Scott Niedermayer scored, assisted by Joe Thornton. It was 4-1 Islanders after 2. And then the Islanders scored again in the third period, made it 5-1. Then we had Zdeno Chara score his 15th from Patrick Eves and Drew Doughty. Then Ryan Whitney, from Anton Volchenkov and Brooks Like. It was 5-3 Islanders, but we just couldn't tie the game up. We ended up with a L on that game. Nolan Pratt, Brian Berard, and Brett Skinner, sorry, are all available. Two of them used to be in our organization. Zach Parise extends his goal streak to 5 games. He had a goal against the Carolina Hurricanes. Sidney Crosby extends his goal streak to 5 games with a goal and 2 assists against Atlanta. And it was 12 straight games with a point from. Suspension over for Malkin back in the lineup. No further action needed for Toronto's René Bourque, not suspended in Toronto. And Jason Spezza is getting ready to come back. Oh yeah, his day-to-day is going to be right ready for the playoffs. Good. That's what we need. Alright, so in 2 days, we're going to be in Florida to play against the Panthers. Ooh, no, that's not good for the Sharks. Logan Couture is injured. Well, I guess he's only a star-and-a-half player right now. He's 21, but he's hurt in San Jose. That's going to be a 5-month thing. Ruptured Achilles against Colorado. Not good. Nicholas Lidstrom has recorded 1,500 games played in his career. That happened against the Philadelphia Flyers. 39 years old, Nicholas Lidstrom, 3-star defender, still didn't get a point in that one. Alright, and then there's talks again that Spezza might be coming back soon. The son of the Florida State is doing him good. He's feeling healthy. Alright, so we are about to play the Panthers. Gone are the days where the Panthers were pretty much always a win and that they were never in the playoff picture. They are third in the East now with a very good record of 51-23-4. However, we did win all 3 games against Florida this season. Let's see what they have in store for us here. Brian Elliott is going to be in net for us. Jacob Markstrom is going to be in net for Florida. And we won 4-2. So back in the win column. Marian Hossa was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Jason Garrison was the second star with an assist. And Patrice Bergeron was the third star with a goal and an assist. We did outshoot the Panthers 40-16. In that game. Still not drawing a lot of fans in Florida despite a pretty good record this season. There wasn't even 8,000 people in attendance. So in the first period there were no goals, but there was a fight between Nathan Horton and Zdeno Chara. Speaking of Chara, he's the first one to score a goal in this game from Drew Doughty and Marian Hossa. Then the Panthers scored twice, so it was 2-1 Florida after 2, which means we scored 3 unanswered in the third period. Brian Whitney scored from Patrice Bergeron, then Mike Fisher from Chris Kelly, and finally Patrice Bergeron scored his 20th from Marian Hossa. 4-2 the final score, so we came back from behind in the third period for that one. It's always one of those stats that they show on TV, like the record after 2 periods, and bad teams tend to let leads go, and they get losses a lot, and then the good teams have records of 22-1 and 2 after 2 or something. So Jordan Tutu is available on waivers. Sidney Crosby extends his goal streak to 6 games with 2 goals against the Capitals. That was 13 straight games for him with a point. And then that and Spezza almost ready. Is he going to be ready for the game against Tampa Bay? I don't think so. So Brendan Siegel and Thomas Caberty are both available. Wow, Thomas Caberty is available on waivers. Oh, yeah, he's only a 1-star player now. I probably would have maybe taken a flyer on him if he would have been at least a star and a half, but I'm not taking a 2 million cap hit for a 1-star player. Kevin Bieksa is suspended in Toronto, so Kevin Bieksa is with the Leafs in my universe, and he's going to miss 3 games. Jason Smith has played in his 1000th game as part of the Phoenix Coyotes. He celebrated with a goal, probably a rare goal too. Well, he does have 8 this season. So that happened against Nashville. 1,000 games played for Jason Smith, who is now 36 years old, and he is a 1-star player. Alright, and we are now heading to Tampa Bay to play against the Lightning. They are 10th in the East. They are 32-37 and 10. We are 3-0 against Tampa Bay this season. It looks, yeah, Tampa Bay will not be in the playoffs. They are not in the race at all. Alright, so we're going to go with Antti Niemi in net, and we are going to be facing Vasily Koshechkin. And we won 7-1, so that's a pretty good correction we just gave to the Lightning. We did outshoot them 49-29. Marian Hossa was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 3 assists. Pavel Datsyuk was the second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Patrice Bergeron was the third star with a goal and 2 assists as well. Joe Thornton scored first in the first period, assisted by Brooks Laich, and it was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then Patrice Bergeron scored in the second period from Pavel Datsyuk and Marian Hossa, and then Marian Hossa from Drew Doughty and Pavel Datsyuk, and it was 3-0 Sens after 2. And then in the third period, we had Drew Doughty score his 10th from Patrice Bergeron and Marian Hossa. Then Tampa Bay scored, made it 4-1, and then we scored 3 goals. Alex Pietrangelo from Scott Niedermayer and Sam Gagner, then Pavel Datsyuk on the power play from Marian Hossa and Patrice Bergeron, and Sam Gagner from Mike Fisher and Scott Niedermayer. 7-1 was the final score in that one. Nice win. That's going to give us confidence for the playoffs. Shishkinov is available on waivers. John Kalinski with the Devils is suspended. He's going to miss 3 games. Strong game for Mike Camilleri, who had 3 goals and 2 assists against Phoenix. Yep, pretty good game. A night to remember for Anze Kopitar in that same game. He had 6 assists. Woo! That's a pretty good game. Sidney Crosby extends his goal streak to 7 games with a goal and an assist against the Islanders, and that was 14 straight games with a point for him. And Jason Spezza is ready to go. Izito? Oh, yes, he is. Alright, let's get Spezza back in the lineup. There you go. You come straight to the active roster. We're gonna send down Conan Greening. I haven't seen his name on the lineup sheet. Well, he played, I mean, on the stat sheet. So he's going back to Binghamton. There we go. And we are all ready to play the last game of the season against the Buffalo Sabres. Ooh, Ilya Kovalchuk is suspended. He's going to miss a game. Alright, and Buffalo is in town, so... Oh, Buffalo now has slid to being the worst team in the East. They are 24-51-5. Dead last in the East, and we are 4-1 against the Sabres this season. Alright, so the last game before the playoffs for us, Rob Zepp is going to be in net for Buffalo, and we are going to have Brian Elliott in there. And we won 6-1. Pretty good game. We outshot Buffalo 31-17. Pavel Datsyuk was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and 2 assists. Jason Spezza celebrated his return to the lineup with the second star and a goal and 3 assists. And Patrice Bergeron was the third star with a goal and 2 assists. We had 17,072 people in attendance for that game. Brooks scored first. That was his 25th of the season from Alex Pietrangelo and Joe Thornton. Then Pavel Datsyuk from Patrice Bergeron and Drew Doughty. And Alexander Radulov scored on the power play from Joe Thornton and Jason Spezza. 3-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, we had Pavel Datsyuk score from Patrice Bergeron and Jason Spezza. Then Spezza from Datsyuk and Ryan Whitney. And then Buffalo scored, so it was 5-1 Sens after 2. And then in the third period, Patrice Bergeron scored from Jason Spezza and Pavel Datsyuk, and 6-1 was the final score, and a nice way to finish the regular season. Oh, and after that loss, the Buffalo might decide to change their GM, so Don Maloney might not be the GM in Buffalo anymore. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, there's still games to be played. We have played all of our games, but we're pretty much the only team, so there's still a few games to go. Jaromir Jagr extends his assist streak to 8 games with an assist against the Trashers. Sidney Crosby extends his point streak to 15 games with an assist as well against the Trashers, which means that his goal streak is over. And Kovalchuk is back in the lineup after serving his suspension. Alright. Oh, yep, so we are going to be facing the Boston Bruins in the first round of the playoffs, so I wonder if they're going to play Ryan Miller, so that's kind of interesting, how things played out. Suspension for Sean Matthias in Detroit. He's going to miss 2 games. A night to remember for Nick Foligno, whom I traded to the Kings. He had 3 goals and an assist against Colorado. Jaromir Jagr's assist streak ended at 8 games with no points against the Islanders. Sidney Crosby extended his point streak to 16 games. In that same game, he had an assist. And Martin Ansel might be back soon. Alright, so we're gonna continue advancing until we see our opponent. Then that means the playoff 3 is up, and we're gonna take a look at who faces whom. Alright, Ansel about to be back. Alright, let's look at the nominees for all of the trophies. So yes, again, it's going to be a long video because I still have all of the playoffs to go through. So the art is going to be between Nicholas Backstrom, Ryan Kessler, and Sidney Crosby. The Vezina is going to be between Brian Elliott, Corey Crawford, and Josh Harding. The Norris, we have Goligoski, Brooks, Orpik, and Duncan Keith. Alright, so Goligoski. I think Goligoski might win it. Calder is going to be between John Tavares, Matt Duchene, and Ryan O'Reilly. GM of the year, as usual, I'm nowhere to be seen in that category. So Mike Keenan, Russ Farwell, and Steve Yzerman. The Selke is going to be between Gregory Campbell, Joe Pavelski, and Ryan Kessler. Lady Bing, Andy McDonald, David Desharnais, and Mike Camilleri. Mark Messier Leadership Award between Alexei Yashin, Jason Smith, and Peter Forsberg. Ted Lindsay between Nick Backstrom, Ryan Kessler, and Sidney Crosby. And the Jack Adams is going to be between Daryl Sutter, Lindy Ruff, and Randy Carlyle. We don't have a lot of nominees for the kind of season we've had. Alright, so Martin Ansel is ready to come back. Oh yes, wait one more day. Alright, and amazing off-season workout regimen for Dan Amius with Nashville, so he's gonna get a boost. Lucky him. Alright, so Ansel, active roster, and we're gonna send down, I guess, Sam Gagner. Alright, so the playoff 3 should be up. Let's take a look. We already know we're facing the Bruins. In the West, the Kings are back in the picture. So it's going to be the Kings against the Blackhawks, the Blues against the Ducks, the Blue Jackets against the Wild, and the Red Wings against the Predators. In the East, we have Boston against Ottawa, Toronto against Philadelphia, Washington against Florida, and Montreal against Pittsburgh. Alright, so let's get those playoffs underway now, shall we? Let's see if we can win yet another cup. Alright, so Boston is going to be in town for the first playoff round. We went 4-1-1 against Boston this season. Let's take another look at their lineup here before we get started. So Brad Marchand and David Krejci are both hurt. That's not good for them. That's two of their best players, especially now that I've pried away Petrus Bergeron. Alright, so Ryan Miller and Yevgeny Nabokov in net, John Michael Lyles, Brett Clark, Kostov, Sigalet, Quint, Rivet, Benoit, Corso, Connor, Neil Lucic, who's hurt as well, Nieminen, Stumpel, Murray, O'Reilly, Thompson, Jokinen, Bailey, Zubrus, Kessel, and Modine. Yeah, I should be winning this. And dare I say I should win that pretty easily. Alright, so, they're not even going with Ryan Miller in the playoffs. Wow. What's wrong with Ryan Miller? Why isn't he a starter anywhere despite being a 5-star player? Anyway, so Yevgeny Nabokov in net for Boston. We're going to Brian Elliott. And we won the first game, 4-1. Go, Sens, go. So we have outshot Boston 39-17. Ryan Whitney was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Martin Avlat was the second star with a goal and an assist as well. And Martin Ansel, freshly back from injury, a goal and an assist, third star. 20,510 people in attendance for this game. Alright, so nobody scored in the first period. Then in the second we had Martin Ansel score from Ryan Whitney and Martin Avlat. Then Boston tied the game, but we took the lead again. It was Martin Avlat from Martin Ansel and Eric Condra, 2-1 Sens after 2. Zdeno Chara and Chris Neil fought in the second period, which, that's funny to me because they're like both in the wrong jersey if you're looking at real life. Well, Chara did play for the Sens, but, in 2010, Chara would have had a Boston jersey and Chris Neil the Ottawa jersey. And then in the third period, we have Ryan Whitney scoring from Drew Doughty and Jason Spezza, and finally Petrus Bergeron from Pavel Datsyuk and Anton Volchenkov, 4-1. Sens is the final score, and then there was another fight in the third period. Joe Thornton fought Chris Neil this time. So Chris Neil trying to be a pest. Alright, so for the other series, Columbus won, Anaheim won, Nashville won, LA won, Pittsburgh won, Florida beat Washington, and Philadelphia beat Toronto. Alright, so Boston is in town again, obviously, for the second game. Yevgeny Nabokov is in net still. We are going with Brian Elliott. And this time we won 5-1. We outshot Boston 46-12. Zdeno Chara was the first star. He had 2 goals. Mike Fisher was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Scott Niedermayer was the third star with an assist. We had, yet again, 20,510 people in attendance for the game. I believe that's the max that our arena can host. I have never seen us get more than that. So Boston actually scored first in that game, but then Zdeno Chara tied the game from Jason Spezza and Petrus Bergeron, and then Eric Kondra from Alexander Radulov and Matt Stajan, and it was 2-1 Sens after 1. And in the second period, we have Zdeno Chara scoring from Mike Fisher, 3-1 Sens after 2. Then finally in the third period, Mike Fisher scored from Petrus Bergeron and Jason Spezza, and then Alexander Radulov scored with 1:01 left to go in the game from Scott Niedermayer and Joe Thornton. 5-1 is the final score today, and we are up to nothing in that series. Kevin Bieksa is back from suspension in Toronto, and so is Sean Matthias in Detroit. Oh, I forgot to check the other scores. I'm really bad about that lately. I'm sorry. Here, I'll make amends by going to look here. Alright, so LA won again, Anaheim won again, Minnesota tied the series against Columbus, Nashville won again, Philadelphia won again, it's tied between Florida and Washington, and Pittsburgh won again against Montreal. There. Alright, Brian Elliott in net still for us, Yevgeny Nabokov still in net for Boston. We are on the road, and we won 4-2. We took a serious option on that series now. We outshot Boston 53-16. Joe Thornton was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and an assist. Kirill Kolstov was the second star with a goal and an assist, and Marian Hossa was the third star with 2 assists. Jason Spezza opened up the scoring in the first period. It was a power play goal from Pavel Datsyuk and Joe Thornton. 1-0 Sens after 1. Then Joe Thornton from Alex Pietrangelo and Marian Hossa, and then Petrus Bergeron from Jason Spezza and Pavel Datsyuk. It was 3-0 Sens at that point, but then Boston scored, so it was 3-1 after 2. Chris Neal got into a scrap again, this time against Brooks Like, so it looks like Chris Neal is going to fight just anybody that wants to throw punches at his face. And then in the third period, we had Joe Thornton score from Ryan Whitney and Marian Hossa, and then Boston scored again, made it 4-2, but it was too little too late, and we are now up 3-0 in our series. Good game for Tuomo Ruutu. For Chicago, he had 4 assists against LA. Andy McDonald is suspended in Anaheim. He's going to miss 3 games. Yeah, Lady Bing, my butt. Alright, so let's see. Minnesota trounced Columbus 7-1, so they're up 2-1 in their series. Anaheim won against St. Louis. Nashville is up 3-0 against Detroit. Chicago came back in their series. They're now trailing 2-1. Montreal came back in their series as well. They are trailing 2-1 as well. Washington is now up 2-1 against Florida, and Philadelphia is up 3-0 against the Maple Leafs. Alright, so are we going to sweep the Boston Bruins? So with a win tonight in Boston, we are going to do just that. So Brian Elliott is going to be in net. They're still going to Yevgeny Nabokov. They've decided we're too strong. It's not his fault that they're down 3-0. So let's see if we can move on to the second round. And we do, with a 5-1 win. And we outshot Boston 54-15 in that one. Petrus Bergeron was the first star. He had 3 assists. Eric Condra was the second star with 3 assists as well. And Brooks Laich was the third star with a goal and an assist. Alright, so we took a 2-0 lead into the first. Drew Doughty scored from Eric Condra and Alexander Radulov. Then Pavel Datsyuk from Alex Pietrangelo and Petrus Bergeron. And it was 2-0 Sens after 1. Chris Neal and Zdeno Chara fought again in that first period. And then in the second period, Boston scored, so it was 2-1 Sens after 2. And then we scored 3 unanswered in the third period. Marian Hossa from Petrus Bergeron and Brooks Laich. Brooks Laich from Eric Condra and Petrus Bergeron. And Matt Stajan from Eric Condra and Alexander Radulov. And 5-1 is how we got rid of the Bruins, who did not play Ryan Miller. And Alexander Radulov converted to left wing. Good job. Alright, so let's take a look here. Let's see if we're going to get our matchup in the Eastern Conference Final between Philadelphia and Ottawa again. Alright, so Minnesota beat Columbus, Anaheim beat St. Louis, Detroit avoided elimination, Ep.142, Pittsburgh 1-6-2, Florida tied their series, and Toronto's still alive, so Philadelphia not over with Toronto just yet. Mike Camilleri has a good game. He had a goal and 4 assists against Chicago. Wow, LA is now in the second round of the playoffs, I believe. In that same game, Lubomir Wisnowski had a hat-trick, 3 goals. And Marian Gaborik with Minnesota had 3 goals and an assist against Columbus. Alright, so we have Minnesota winning over Columbus. Nashville eliminated Detroit. I believe LA eliminated Chicago. Washington won. Toronto still alive. Montreal still alive. Wow. Those Canadian teams refuse to die. Are we going to have an upset in the first round? Alright, so Toronto tied their series against the Flyers 5-1. Washington trounced Florida 7-0, and Montreal is back as well against Pittsburgh. So Toronto was down 0-3 against Philadelphia. Now it's tied at 3, and Montreal was down as well against Pittsburgh. Now it's tied at 3 as well. Yikes. Are we or are we not going to get our matchup against the Flyers? We're not. Wow, Toronto came back from 0-3 and won the last 4 games against the Flyers and won the last game 4-2. And Toronto moves on to the second round, so no rematch against the Flyers. So sorry, buddy, that's not happening. Pittsburgh is moving forward. They eliminated Montreal. So the playoff 3 now looks as such. So LA is going to face Anaheim in the West, and then Nashville against Minnesota. We are facing Toronto, and Washington is facing Pittsburgh. Sid the Kid against Alexander Ovechkin. Alright, so we're going to take a look at that surprising Toronto team that eliminated the Philadelphia Flyers. So we were 5-1 against Toronto this season. Right, and they have a healthy team, so that's what Boston didn't have against us. They weren't healthy. So it's Gustafsson and Giguère in net, Adrian Aucoin, Brendan Bell, Sergei Gonchar, Kevin Bieksa, Luke Shen, Ian White, and Martin Skula on D. Brad Boys, Alexei Ponikarovsky, Steen, Toulouse, Komarov, Hall, Williams, Zajac, Antropov, Bork, Moskulimin, Morozov, and Eric Cole. So we have to be careful. They just got rid of a team that got 121 points in the regular season. Alright, and we are ready. So we are, of course, going to start this at home. Let's see if we can beat Toronto as well. So they are trusting Jean-Sébastien Giguère in net. We are still trusting Brian Elliott. And we won game 1, 3-2 in overtime. Alright, so we outshot Toronto 56-19. Zdeno Chara was the first star with a game. He had an assist. Ponikarovsky was the second star with a goal. And Pavel Datsyuk was the third star with a goal. 20,510 people in attendance for this game. Alright, so nobody scored in the first, and then in the second period we had Radulov score from Matt Stajan and Zdeno Chara, made it 1-0 Sens after 2. Then Toronto tied the game, and then Patrick Eves scored 4 seconds later from Chris Kelly and Mike Fisher, made it 2-1 Sens, but Toronto tied the game again, so it was tied at 2, and we went to overtime, where Pavel Datsyuk played the hero with the overtime winner, assisted by Alex Pietrangelo, and we were up 1-0 in the series. And we have another injury to Jason Spezza. It's a day-to-day injury too, so hopefully he's not going to be out too long. Yeah, day-to-day. Yes, I know. Oh, I have to select a Hall of Fame nominee, huh? Alright, who do I want to nominate as a potential Hall of Famer? So we have Tom Barrasso, Dale Hunter, Reed Larson, John Van Beesbrook, Russ Courtnall. Again, I wish I could see their stats. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Tom Barrasso. Maybe Van Beesbrook, but yeah, I don't think he had like the... Let's go with Barrasso. Of course, if I check here, I can see their stats and everything. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and move forward. Alright, so in the other series, Nashville beat Minnesota 5-2, LA beat Anaheim 4-3, and Pittsburgh beat Washington 5-2. Alright. Alright, so we are facing Toronto again, obviously. Game 2 of the series, still at home. So it's still going to be Giguère in net for Toronto, and we are still going to Brian Elliott. Oh, we won that game 3-0, so shutout here in the playoffs. We outshot Toronto 37-23. Marian Osa was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Pavel Datsyuk was the second star with a goal and an assist, and Zdeno Chara was the third star with a goal. 20,350 people in attendance for that game. So Pavel Datsyuk scored first in the first period from Marian Osa. It was 1-0 Sens after 1. Absolutely nothing happened in the second period, not even a penalty. And then in the third period, Joe Thornton scored from Drew Doughty and Brooks Laich, and Zdeno Chara scored in an empty net from Marian Hossa and Pavel Datsyuk, and 3-0 is how we took a 2-0 lead in that series. Alright, Andy McDonald is back from suspension in Anaheim, back in the lineup. Alright, so Minnesota tied their series against Nashville. LA is up 2-0 against Anaheim. We're up 2-0 against Toronto, and Pittsburgh is up 2-0 against Washington. Alright, and we are now moving the series in Toronto. So let's see if we can beat them on the road as well. Brian Elliott is going to be in net for us again. Jean-Sébastien Giguère still in net for Toronto. And we shut them out again. We won 1-0 this time, just the one goal. We outshot Toronto 51-11. Giguère got the first star despite the loss. He made 50 saves. Luke Shen was the second star without any points, and Marian Hossa was the third star with an assist. Alright, so Adrian Aucoin and Zdeno Chara both fought in the first period. And then the lone goal of the game happened with 5 seconds to go in the second period. It was Pavel Datsyuk from Marian Hossa. That's it. Nothing else to say about that game other than we are up 3-0, looking pretty good. I have yet to have a 16-0 run in the playoffs. I don't think it's going to happen. It's pretty hard to achieve, even if in a video game. Right, so Minnesota won 3-2 against Nashville. LA won 4-3, so LA is now up 3-0. So they might be the upset. They are the upset in the playoffs so far. I believe they had the 8th seed. We won, and Pittsburgh is up 3-0 against Washington as well. Am I right? Were they the 8th seed? Yeah. The Kings were the 8th seed in the West. Well, that was still 96 points, so it's not like they barely made it. Like, the next closest team was 12 points behind, so they were pretty comfortable in their 8th spot, but still. Alright. Alright, so we have an opportunity to finish off the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. So we have Brian Elliott in net and Jean-Sébastien Giguère in net still. So those two are still facing each other. And we eliminated the Toronto Maple Leafs in 4 as well with a 3-2 overtime win. So we did beat the Maple Leafs, but it did take 2 overtime wins and 2 shutouts to do that. So we outshot them 59-19 in that one. Matt Stajan was the first star. He had a goal and an assist. Ponikarovsky was the second star with a goal, and Drew Doughty was the third star with an assist. So Martin Avlat scored in the first period, and we were up 1-0 after 1. Then in the second period, Matt Stajan scored from Anton Volchenkov and Ryan Whitney, and then Toronto tied the game at 2. Nobody scored in the third period, which means we went to overtime. Nobody scored in the first overtime period. And then Pavel Datsyuk scored his 5th of the playoffs, his 2nd in overtime in that series, to send Toronto on vacation, assisted by Drew Doughty. And we are moving forward against what looks like is going to be the Pittsburgh Penguins. So that could be a tough series. Actually might lose that against Pittsburgh. Let's see. Nashville won. Anaheim is still alive, and Pittsburgh swept Washington as well. So yeah, we are facing Pittsburgh in the Eastern Conference Finals. Yes, I'm gonna need Spezza against the Penguins. LA eliminated Anaheim, and Minnesota won against Nashville. I lost track of that series, so I'm not sure if that's over or not. I guess not. Nashville won against Minnesota. I guess that's still not over. And we have Jason Spezza back. So thanks to that series that wouldn't end in the West, Jason Spezza is going to be ready in time for the next matchup against Pittsburgh. Alright, and Nashville eliminated Minnesota, so it's going to be Nashville against the Kings in the West and Pittsburgh against Ottawa in the East. Alright, so we did go 3-1 against Pittsburgh this season. Pittsburgh did get 120 points, so they were only 1 point behind Philadelphia for their division lead. Let's see over here. So they do have one injury, and it's Christian Heroff, so he's not going to be playing, at least not now. So in net, it's Marc-Andre Fleury and Josh Harding, but apparently they're playing Harding over Fleury, so it's an issue in this game where the better player is not playing enough, the better goaltender is not playing enough. So Era Fistrick, Goligoski, Ozolinsh, Orpik, Stafford, Jeff Finger, Barrett Jackman on D, Jagger, Bergenheim, Jeffrey, Johnson, Hecht, Crosby, Malkin, Morin, Stahl, Desharnais, Kennedy, Sharp, and Malone. So yeah, there's a lot of firepower in Pittsburgh. I don't think we're gonna sweep them. We might even not beat them. I guess we'll see. Alright, we are hosting Pittsburgh here in the first game in the third round. We are at home. Josh Harding in net for Pittsburgh. We are going to Brian Elliott. Go Sens go. Alright, we won the first game 4-3 in overtime, so thank God for overtime lately. So we outshot Pittsburgh 63-19. Marian Hossa was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Yevgeny Malkin was the second star with 3 assists, and Joe Thornton was the third star with a goal and an assist. We had 20,268 people in attendance for this game. Jason Spezza scored first in the first period. That was a power play goal from Alexander Radulov and Joe Thornton. Then Brooks Lake from Marian Hossa and Ryan Whitney, and it was 2-0 Sens at that point. But Pittsburgh scored before the end of the first period, and it was 2-1 Sens after 1. Then Pittsburgh tied the game at 2 in the second period. It was 2-2 after 2. Then Pittsburgh took the lead in the third period, but thankfully Joe Thornton was able to tie the game from Marian Hossa and Alex Pietrangelo. It was tied at 3. We went to overtime where Jason Spezza was the hero, scoring the overtime winner against assisted by Alex Pietrangelo and Petrus Bergeron 4-3. The final score, Sens are up 1-0. And Nashville beat LA 5-3, so they are up 1-0 in their series as well. Alright. Now alright, Pittsburgh in town again. Let's make it 2-0. Alright, so Josh Harding is going to be in net for Pittsburgh again, and we have Brian Elliott again in net for us. And we won 4-1. So we're up 2-0 in the series. We outshot Pittsburgh 40-22. Drew Doughty was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Zdeno Chara was the second star with an assist, and Patrick Eves was the third star with a goal. 20,005 people in attendance for that game. Patrick Eves scored first from Mike Fisher and Jason Spezza. It was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then Drew Doughty scored in the second period from Brooks Laich and Joe Thornton. It was 2-0. Then Pittsburgh scored, and then we scored again. It was Patrice Bergeron on the power play from Zdeno Chara and Chris Kelly, and 3-1 was the score after 2. And we scored one more goal in the third period. Eric Condra broke Pittsburgh's back with a goal from Drew Doughty and Alexander Radulov. 4-1 was the final score. Good game. Alright, and LA came back in their series, and with a 2-0 win, their series is now tied at 1. Whew, the throat is starting to be a little raw here, so thankfully we're closer to the end of the video than the start. The weather has been really bad. We're getting the... And I guess I shouldn't complain. I mean, it's not like we're in the middle of the hurricanes or anything like that, but we're getting like the side of it. So we're getting a lot of storms. It's really humid and weird out. Really muggy. Alright, so we are now in Pittsburgh. And we are up to 0. Brian Elliott is in net. Josh Harding is in net as well. For their respective teams, of course. And we won 5-2. We are still undefeated in those playoffs. The shots were a little bit tighter for that one. We outshot Pittsburgh 31-29. Chris Kelly was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Patrick Eves was the second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Mike Fisher was the third star with a goal. So Mike Fisher scored first from Patrick Eves and Drew Doughty, and then Chris Kelly on the power play from Mariano Ossa and Brooks Laich, and it was 2-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, Zdeno Chara scored from Chris Kelly and Patrick Eves, 3-0. Then Pittsburgh scored twice. So we were up 3-2 after 2. Pittsburgh were still in it. But then Patrick Eves scored in the third period from Chris Kelly and Anton Volchenkov. And finally, Jason Spezza scored on the power play in an empty net from Patrice Bergeron and Alexander Radulov. And 5-2 was the final score. We are up 3-0. Jason Spezza converts to right wing yet again. Alright. Alright, and LA won against Nashville, so LA's up 2-1 in their series now after dropping the first game. Alright, so are we going to get rid of Pittsburgh? So it's us with Brian Elliott in net, and them with Josh Harding still. We lost 3-2, so our perfect record in the playoffs is now a thing of the past. We outshot Pittsburgh 35-33. Alex Goligoski was the first star. He had 1 assist. Drew Doughty was the second star with an assist as well. And Patrick Sharp was the third star with also an assist. So Pittsburgh scored first, then Eric Condra tied the game from Alexander Radulov and Drew Doughty, and it was tied at 1 after 1. Then we took a 2-1 lead in the second period. It was Pavel Datsyuk from Patrice Bergeron, and we were up 2-1 after 2. But Pittsburgh scored twice in the third period, and we lost 3-2. Alright, so we are... Oh, I forgot to check the other series. Oh, the Kings won again, so they're up 3-1 as well in their series. Alright, let's see if we can finish off the Pittsburgh Penguins at home. Alright, so Josh Harding in net for them, Brian Elliott in net for us. We lost 7-4. Now we're up 3-2 in the series. I don't like it. We were outshot 29-24 in that game. Yevgeny Malkin was the first star of the game. He had a hat-trick. Sidney Crosby was the second star with a goal and 3 assists. And Jaromir Jagr was the third star with a goal and 2 assists. 20,510 people left the arena pretty frustrated. So Pittsburgh scored first, then we tied the game. It was Zdeno Chara's 5th on the power play from Jason Spezza and Drew Doughty. Tied at 1 at that point, but Pittsburgh scored again, made it 2-1. Pittsburgh after 1. Then Pittsburgh scored twice in the second period. It was 4-1 Pittsburgh. Then Matt Stajan scored from Alexander Radulov, made it 4-2. And then Pittsburgh scored again, made it 5-2. Radulov scored on the power play from Joe Thornton and Jason Spezza. It was 5-3 Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh scored, made it 6-3. Spezza scored his 5th from Petrus Bergeron and Zdeno Chara to make it 6-4. But near the end of the game, Jordan Staal scored in an empty net, made it 7-4, and we want to forget about this game. Yeah, we know it was a great game for Malkin. He had a hat-trick. I was there. I was pretty upset. Oh, Nashville is still in it. They won 4-3, so it's not over in the West either. Alright, so now back in Pittsburgh. Brian Elliott again. Josh Harding again. And we won 3-1. Alright, we're going to the Stanley Cup Finals. Who is it going to be? The Kings or the Predators? We outshot Pittsburgh 31-27. Mike Fisher was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals. Alex Goligoski was the second star with an assist. And Patrick Keyes was the third star with an assist as well. So Pittsburgh scored first in the first period. And then Mike Fisher tied the game from Patrick Keyes and Chris Kelly. It was tied at 1 after 1. And then all the way in the third period, Mike Fisher scored from Ryan Whitney and Anton Volchenkov. And then finally, Marian Hossa scored on the power play in an empty net from Jason Spezza and Petrus Bergeron. 3-1 the final score, and we can finally breathe because they had beat us the previous 2 games. Oh, and I believe that Nashville won. Yeah, they did. So that series tied at 3. So it's going to a Game 7 to determine who's going to face us in the Stanley Cup Final. Is it going to be LA or the Predators? I want to say Nashville is going to win. So let's see. Haha, I got it right. Nashville won 4-0. There you go. Alright, so we're going to be facing Nashville in the Stanley Cup Finals. Nashville ended the season with 109 points, so that's a pretty good season. We did beat them the only time that we played them this season. Let's take a look, see if they have injuries. Mike Santorelli is hurt. He's at least not gonna start the series. And then Anton Babchuk is also hurt. But he's only day-to-day, so he's also not going to start, but he might play later. So in net, it's Chad Johnson and Pecorine. Dan Amius, Kevin Klein, Nathan Page, Roman Yossi, Ryan Sutter, Shea Weber, Marek Zidlicki, and Anton Babchuk on D. That's a very good D. Scott Hartnell, Matt Pittenger, Vernon Fiddler, David Legwan, Nick Spaling, Colin Wilson, Martin Straka, John Paul, Martin Erat, Alexander Frolov, Patrick Ornquist, Brendan Siegel, and Gabriel Bork. It's a pretty good team. The D and goaltending are very good. Actually better than us. Well, yeah, maybe. The D might be. And it's not like I have a very bad D or anything like that. They're just that good. Alright, so Nashville is going to be in town for the Stanley Cup Finals. So, go Sens go. Picarini in net for Nashville. Brian Elliott in net for Ottawa. And we won the first game 3-1. Oh boy, we outshot Nashville 25-12. What a defensive game. 37 shots total. There's games that I've played where I had doubled that just for my team. So Mike Fisher was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Shea Weber was the second star with an assist. And Patrick Eves was the third star with an assist as well. 19,663 people in attendance for that game. Chris Kelly scored the first goal of the game from Patrick Eves and Mike Fisher. Then Nashville tied the game, and then Ryan Whitney scored from Patrice Bergeron and Jason Spezza, and we were up 2-1 after 1. Then in the second period, Mike Fisher scored his fifth from Zdeno Chara, 3-1 Sens after 2. And that score would hold like that. So 3-1, we're up 1-0 in the series. Alright, so Nashville is in town again, of course. So let's make it 2-0 here, shall we? Picarini in net, Brian Elliott in net. Oh, we won 1-0. Another tight game. Oh my god, there's no shots in those games. That's pretty crazy. We outshot Nashville 24-11. That's even less shots on goals than the previous game. 35 total. So Marian Osa was the first star of the game. He had a goal. Kevin Klein was the second star of the game. He didn't get a point. And Joe Thornton was the third star with an assist. 20,318 people in attendance for that game. Alright, so the only goal of the game was scored in the second period, and it was Marian Osa from Joe Thornton and Mike Fisher. And that was it. Not a whole lot less to say. I kind of like it though that the shots are that low. It makes for a very playoff atmosphere. Oh, I get to vote, huh? Alright, who do I want to send to the Hall of Fame? Well, Stevie Y for sure. I think Luc Robitaille should go. Bretel as well, and probably Pierre Turgeon. Oh, I want to send Kelly Johansson. He played for me. Yeah, I think those were all no-brainers, so didn't really have to think about it. Alright. Alright, so I'm going to take a little bit of water here. Before my throat just decides to leave my body and run away. Alright, so we are in Nashville now to play Game 3. We are up 2-0 in the Stanley Cup Finals. Brian Elliott and Picarini still in net, with two good Ds on each side, not allowing any kind of offense to happen. And we won 3-2, so we're up 3-0 in the Stanley Cup Final. Oh, we did get shots this time. So we outshot Nashville 47-20. Drew Doughty was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Martin Straka was the second star with 2 assists. And Pavel Datsyuk was the third star with an assist. Marian Osa scored first. in the first period from Brooks Like and Joe Thornton. Then Nashville scored to tie the game at 1. Nobody scored in the second period. Then in the third period, Zdeno Chara scored from Drew Doughty and Jason Spezza. Then Nashville tied the game, but with 28 seconds left to go, 38 seconds left to go in the third period, Drew Doughty scored from Pavel Datsyuk and Patrice Bergeron, and that one ought to hurt for Nashville. And we won 3-2. We have a pretty good option on the cup right now. It's all up to us to deliver in the fourth game here. Alright, so we are now playing in Nashville again. Brian Elliott, Pekka Rinne, and maybe a Stanley Cup for Ottawa. Go Sens go! And we won the Stanley Cup again by defeating Nashville in 4 games with a 2-1 win in game number 4. We outshot Nashville 36-18. Pavel Datsyuk was the first star. He had 2 assists. Martin Straka was the second star with an assist. And the captain, Zdeno Chara, was the third star. He scored both of our goals. So Nashville scored first in the first period. Then Chara scored in the second from Datsyuk and Patrice Bergeron. It was tied at 1 after 2. And then in the third period, Zdeno Chara scored from Pavel Datsyuk and Marian Hossa, and 2-1 was the final score. What a season yet again. Another Stanley Cup. Alright, so as usual, we're going to take a look at the trophies and everything, and then that's where I'm going to stop. It's over. Ottawa defeats Nashville. Oh, yeah. The salary cap is expanded by 10% to allow for moves. The art was won by Crosby. The Connie Smythe goes to Brian Elliott. Brian Elliott also wins the Vezina. There you go. That's why I traded that bum, Ryan Miller. Well, he wasn't a bum at all. He just wasn't played. And he's still not played. Might as well retire. Goligoski is the Norris, I called it. John Tavares was the Calder winner. I didn't check those. He had 50 points, that's pretty decent. 50 points in 74 games for the Islanders. Russ Farwell won the GM of the Year as the GM for Philadelphia. Gregory Campbell won the Selke. Sidney Crosby wins the Maurice Richard. How many goals did he score? 54. Patrick Sharp won the Plus Minus Award. Steve Masons wins the Roger Crozier Saving Grace Award. The Jennings goes to Brian Elliott. Lady Bing is won by Andy McDonald, who got suspended in the playoffs. That's not very Lady Bing-like. Rob Blake wins the Bill Masterton Trophy. The Mark Messier Leadership Award goes to Peter Forsberg. Crosby wins the Ted Lindsay. Lindy Ruff is Coach of the Year. There you go. And the All-Star. Ooh, look at that. For the first time in a very long time, we don't have several All-Stars in the 2 All-Star teams that were nominated. We only got Brian Elliott. That's it. I've been extended. I better. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and... Alright, so we're going to go ahead and save the game. So that's it, folks. We won the cup yet again. I thought that at one point maybe I would have like salary cap problems and that it would lead to me, struggling a little bit more, but so far we're still holding our own. So we're just gonna continue to go through the motions and see if we can continue to win. Shortly, I'm also going to be getting Eric Carlson for free, so that's just gonna make the team better at that point. So we're gonna have to see what happens from there. The right side of my D is gonna be very strong. But for today, that's it. So another cup, another season, and we are going to be doing the off-season next time. I'm letting a few players go and everything, and I might be looking actually for some help on the left side of my D. I'm not all that strong on the left side, so I might be looking maybe at a free agent or maybe a trade. I don't know yet. We'll see what I decide to do. But for now, this is me saying thank you for tuning in as usual, and if you've liked the video, please feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that good stuff, and until I roll this game again, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.